Okay, Justin, thank you so much for joining today. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Could you describe what Mona's involved with at this point in time, what you guys are trying to build out in the metaverse?
Definitely, yeah. Well, thanks for chatting with me, Joe. My name is Justin Melillo, co-founder, CEO of Mona. Mona is the premier Web3 metaverse world building platform built for creators by creators. So we make it easy and free for any creator to build a high quality virtual world, mint that world as an NFT, and then go and sell it. So we don't operate on a model that's based on virtual land scarcity. We don't charge creators anything upfront to build. We are really focused on building out the creator and developer centric metaverse world building platform. So that's the root of our passion and the root of my passion with my background, having been a 3D AR VR artist for the past 10 years, worked at DreamWorks Animation, Magic Leap previously, designed tour stages for artists like Drake. And I've created AR lenses and effects that have hundreds of billions of views. So started this journey last year, saw there's a really big opportunity in terms of 3D artists and my peers who were finding a new sort of career and a new method to find creative and financial freedom by selling NFTs. But I also saw that a lot of 3D artists were being underserved, especially in terms of the metaverse and building out virtual worlds. So, up until this point, before Mona, if you were a creator and you wanted to build for the metaverse, you had to purchase a virtual plot of land somewhere, which now you have to pay tens of thousands of dollars for. So there's a huge barrier to entry. And then even if you purchased and got access to a platform, you then were hit with a very limited set of tools that 3D artists just aren't familiar with. And you're also limited in terms of what your work can look like, the aesthetic quality. So being a 3D artist, I wanted to remove all those limitations for creators and really let them build boundlessly, where they could build a world as large or as small as they wanted and in any creative style. So you could build something super photorealistic with Mona, or you could build something that's super stylized and more 2D or illustration based. So that's the beauty of everything that we do. And the core of it is really building out the largest and most vibrant community of 3D artists, game designers, architects who are pursuing this new career as metaverse architects. And probably the most staggering thing we've seen is that many artists and creators are leaving their full-time jobs to now become full-time metaverse architects because they've been able to monetize their work through Mona and through the platform we're building. So it's been really amazing to see that.
Oh, it's fantastic. No, thank you for sharing that. So there's a number of things that jumped out. You brought up Magic Leap, and that's a company I've been following for a long time, but
Yeah.
we'll hold off on that for now because I think they're fascinating in and of themselves. But when we think about the metaverse and what you're trying to build right now, or what you're building right now, it's a different model in some respects because I'm most familiar with a lot of the organizations like Sandbox, or I mean, there's many of them. You could look at Other Side that Bored Ape Yacht
Yeah.
Club has built, where it's a defined plot of land that people have decided to build in a world that says, okay, it's this that you can come to. You can bebop around. You can jump from one place to the other very easily, teleport. Why is it that's not the path forward for Mona? Like what's special about the idea of not necessarily having a defined set of plots of land?
Yeah, I think for us, it's all about that sort of idea of limiting the artist. And for us, we don't want to impose those limits and restrictions on artists and creators. I think it's important when you consider this idea and concept of the open metaverse, one that's not owned by a central entity, but one that's owned by all of its participants, creators, users. I think it's really important that as we spend more and more time as humans traversing these virtual worlds and exploring these virtual worlds together in the metaverse, I think it's really important that we give creators the tools they need to build whatever kinds of worlds that they want and really explore to the greatest depths of their imagination what these virtual worlds can look like. It's really important that by removing those limitations from creators, you're able to enable an entire new set of experiences that aren't just limited by sort of like four walls and a room that just mirrors the real world, but you can come up with so many other amazing possibilities for what an immersive, interactive virtual experience can be. And that's why everything that we do is really about just enabling creators to build to the greatest depths of their imagination and to build really whatever they imagine, and then allow them to tokenize those experiences as NFTs. I think by enabling that type of creativity, you're able to come up with so many more exciting possibilities for what the metaverse can be. And we really see the creator as the backbone of the metaverse, creators and developers. So it's just really important that we remove those types of limitations and allow creators and developers to do what they do best.
No, I love that concept. In fact, I was at your event at NFT.nyc in
Oh,
the
yeah.
lower level. I was watching some of the people building things out, which was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Um, so when we lean on this idea that creators are creating and they're coming up with these amazing ideas and spaces, environments, and then associated NFTs with that, which hopefully they can maybe monetize if they decide to do so. Um, how do you guys hone it such that if I'm unfamiliar with Mona, I'm unfamiliar with getting into this space, how do I, for lack of a better word, find a taxonomy to know where I want to go or to explore things? How does one do that in this space?
Yeah, that's a great question. And also a huge thank you for joining us at our first IRL activation in that buildathon in the builder basement. So happy you got to see that. And that was just like a really exciting glimpse into the type of community that we have, these builders from all over the world, from all different creative backgrounds, who are just like passionate about building these virtual worlds. So that's really awesome you were there. So thank you. And yeah, I think so. It's really important that we create a ton of resources that and we make available for free for builders and creators, for any type of creator who wants to get involved with building in the metaverse. So I think it starts with education, and which is why we spend a lot of time and resources into building out a really deeply developed documentation in terms of how to get started with building in Mona, building in the metaverse, building. In the metaverse, it's kind of like it is a little bit of a different creative mindset, because you have to build for real-time rendering as opposed to just like offline rendering where you have even less limitations. So yeah, I think it all comes down to just having good educational resources available for creators. So we invest a lot of time into that. And we've actually pioneered this new type of hackathon, which we've labeled the Buildathon. And up to this point, we've hosted two to my knowledge, the largest metaverse buildathons. Both of them with a partnership with Protocol Labs and Filecoin, offering a $250,000 bounty for creators who want to come in and learn about and create for the open metaverse. So by sort of offering creators with those other types of opportunities where they can immediately monetize their work through a buildathon, where they can come in, and many of these creators who came into the buildathons were entirely new to building for the metaverse. Their first time downloading a software like Unity, their first time building these incredible virtual experiences. So a lot of it is about like sort of that educational part of it and cultivating a really helpful community so that other builders can help each other learn and grow. And then providing those types of opportunities like a buildathon where a creator is able to dedicate the time and resources and they're able to really immediately start monetizing their work and seeing what's possible with virtual world building. I think education and opportunities like that are super important in terms of getting people ready to start building for virtual worlds. And there's also, I mean, for Mona too, like we spend a lot of time in developing our own tool sets for creators and builders. So at the end of the day, we're building the platform and then also the experience for these, for creators to build and then for users to experience the worlds. So everything that we do is about making it as easy as possible for a creator to come in, start building. And we have an amazing and it's a very simple pipeline for a 3D artist who's already building in their native tool set to just drag and drop their assets they're already building in other programs like Blender, Maya, Cinema 4D. They can just drag and drop them into our template and simple drag and drop to our web browser, Playground, where they can immediately jump into their world and experience it. So we have a really quick feedback loop and a really easy process for builders to get started as well.
Very cool. My goodness. All right. So one of the things that comes to mind is, and if you've said this, I apologize, but do you ever see Mona being involved in like sort of the enterprise level, where if you just wanted organizations to meet in a different space, I was in a metaverse, are people building things in that area too?
Yeah. So it's exciting to see that we have other sort of more enterprise use cases emerging. I think education is a big sort of vertical there as well, where We're talking to other educational institutions who want to start even hosting classes and faculty and student meetups in these spaces. Definitely, there's a lot of opportunity from the enterprise level as well for basically businesses to start using Mona as the next evolution of Zoom, where you can actually have your own custom avatar that you can customize. You have voice chat, you have text chat. You have basically all of those capabilities of a video, sort of streaming video meeting software, but then you have that added interactive layer that makes a meeting so much more fun, so much more engaging, and really increases that sense of a connection between humans across distances. So yeah, we're definitely seeing that use case emerge, which is really, really exciting.
All right, it's so I was there's so many different things I want to ask you. So I guess the first thing
Yeah.
is, you've talked about the open metaverse, in Web3 and this concept of sort of decentralization around this a few times, and I kind of believe in that myself. But at the same time, there's an opposite side of this, and we can talk about what Meta or Facebook launched quite a bit of, well, now it feels like a long time ago, but there's two things happening, right? So you have these concepts from the masses of people that are saying, you know what, this is the direction. And maybe it came from crypto, maybe then comes to NFTs, and people are like, oh, let's build this, the next iteration of where we're going, all on blockchain. And then you have this idea, this vision that potentially some of these monstrous organizations can potentially do this very quickly, very easily. Which path do you honestly feel like will move forward in this space? Because it is a challenge, and I speak with a lot of various organizations that are in this space, and I think it's amazing. But when you have an organization that has 3 billion people that are connected into it already, it is a challenge, right?
Yeah. I would say that the Web3 community is one of the strongest, if not the strongest community I've ever been a part of, filled with so many talented, dedicated, and devoted individuals who really believe that Web3 blockchain is the future of the internet. And I think that together, that is really what's going to be that differentiating factor between a singular sort of centralized company like Facebook Meta owning this whole idea of the metaverse, which it's not going to be possible for them to do at the end of the day. And I think it will take kind of this Web3 community, the community of creators and builders that we have, and other metaverse platforms as well, who are devoted and dedicated to building the open metaverse concept, where it's easy to traverse between different platforms. That concept is ultimately going to be the one that wins out. And I think it's also important to note, blockchain is so powerful in so many different ways. Specifically, the biggest way I think for us right now at the core is really that you're able to actually see and track ownership of a digital asset, of an actual digital virtual world, of a virtual experience. And because we are a Web3 native company, starting from that point, a larger company that is coming from Web2 is going to have a much harder time changing their entire business model, basically, to kind of fit into those bounds. I know Facebook is doing some experiments with Polygon, which it looks really great on the surface level, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to take what we're doing, being Web3 native, built from day one on blockchain, using a decentralized storage solution like IPFS and Filecoin to be able to store these 3D assets. I think that is really ultimately the concept and the movement that's going to win out over a central program or a central platform like Facebook Meta.
Great point, and I tend to agree with you. One of the things that comes up, though, for me when I think about that and all these other open metaverse platforms is if you create your own sort of IP in that space, and someone's created that, the interoperability of that going from one metaverse to the other, does it make sense for various metaverses that they don't want to have a walled garden, because the whole idea is for it to be open? But if I created my own, I don't know, Nike shoes in the other side, and my Bored Ape's wearing those Nike shoes, and then I want to go over to the Mona, and it's a different look and a feel, right? And so you have to sort of port that over in some way. And does it incentivize the person to, does it make sense for open I'm sorry, for other side to actually have their own IP over here, and then can they bring it over there? Because then it makes it less likely that I'm going to buy or make something on this side. How does that work in the open metaverse then, do you think?
Yeah, so it's I would say it's not a different look and feel if you don't want it to be. There are many interoperable 3D file types. So right now it is possible to actually have a virtual wearable in Otherside that you can also use in Mona, and it looks exactly the same. I think like one of the key features for Mona too, and this is why it was really important that we enabled creators to have that flexibility to build something super photoreal or super stylized, is that creators aren't boxed into one visual aesthetic. So on other platforms, if you look at like Sandbox or Decentraland or CryptoVoxels, they're very limited in terms of that voxelized aesthetic or the low poly aesthetic, which is great. You know, I'm not saying anything bad about those platforms either, but what I'm saying is that it's really important for us that we don't limit creators in that way. And that also provides users and end users a greater potential for the experiences they can have, because then that means that if a platform, you know, like Otherside is developing something that is a higher quality experience, more photoreal, and you have like a virtual wearable there, it will also work in Mona as long as they use an interoperable file type. And so that is the beauty of sort of this concept of the open metaverse, which is that a digital asset that you purchase, it's not just tied to one user account. Like if I'm in Valorant or if I'm in Fortnite and I buy a skin, that's not tied to my one user account, or that is currently that is tied to my user account. That's tied to one game, one world, one environment, and I can't take it out of there. And also, there's no public ledger of it. There's no like record if I actually even own that digital asset. So with blockchain, yes, you can tell that Nike created this one of one unique shoe. I purchased it from Nike, so there's that provenance. You can tell that I own it, and I can use it in Mona. I can use it in Otherside. I can use it in any platform I want. That is the power of the open metaverse and why ultimately it's going to win, because it places creators, developers, and users at the forefront, front and center, and is most important. And at the end of the day, that's what users are going to value the most.
Ah, well said. Oh, definitely. I'd actually talked with some of the people over at Sandbox around the same concept, and they're like, "Yeah, it almost." They didn't say this explicitly, but they made it sound like they are certainly considering that because they realize that the pixelated nature of what they're doing, which is very cool,
Yeah,
um,
sure.
may not translate as clearly over to what we are eventually going to see in some of the space. But that's maybe the benefits for what they have right now.
Yeah.
And during the same conference, I saw that they ported over at least 7 or 8 of the major NFT organizations, like Cool Cat, like all these things were already ported over into their environment, which was neat to see. So they've
Yeah.
been able to do that sort of thing, but it's definitely a different aesthetic, no question. What else is going on that you'd like to share going forward for the organization?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I know we've also I think we've touched a lot on sort of the infrastructure and building platform, but if it wasn't clear, also would love to just like touch on the actual experience as well. I know you're familiar with it, but just like an overview into that. So as a creator, when you build and mint your world, it immediately goes live on the Mona website, where anyone can go and explore any of the hundreds of worlds that we have up there. And you can share your world in a multiplayer hangout with others just by sharing the URL link. So it's always been important to us from day one to reduce all those barriers to entry. So that means not imposing a strict like standalone download. So it's super easy and accessible for you to share any of these worlds via URL. And you can dive in with hundreds of participants, again, using voice chat, text chat, customizable avatars. We even have token gated access. So a lot of communities are making use of that feature to provide more value to their collectors. So if you own a cool cat and you wanted to build your own cool cat world, you could actually token gate it to just the cool cat holders. And so you could have private events like that. So we're seeing a lot of that, which is really, really great for community building in the metaverse. And we're sort of seeing Mona being used more and more as sort of like the next version of Discord as well. Because again, it's like more interactive, a better way for communities to engage with each other. So we're definitely looking forward to building out more interactive features through our actual experience that support that. We have a lot of really great partnerships coming up and some that we've announced. So one of our biggest partnerships is with Async Art, where we actually helped Xcopy and Colty build out their own metaverse worlds, making use of token gated access as well for their async blueprint holders. We have a really big partnership with, there's actually this project called Elvis on Chain. So they have the full IP rights to the Elvis estate and to actually produce Elvis NFTs with Run It Wild and ABG. They're the
Wow.
the companies that are actually creating this Elvis NFT project. And so they're actually going to be releasing these rooms on Mona, over 1,000 of almost 2,000 of them for all the Elvis NFT holders. So a partnership like that is really exciting to see. We have some other great partnerships that we haven't announced just yet, but a lot more coming up. We're looking forward to releasing more and more interactive features, making it easier for developers to come on board and start building more interactive experiences with us as well. And I think you probably also saw we just announced the closing of our Series A fundraising. So I think a couple weeks ago now we announced the 14.6 million Series A round. Thank you so much. So yeah, that's been really great. And I think the biggest focus for us now moving forward is just building out a world-class team to help build the best platform and experience for creators, developers, and users of the open metaverse. And so we are hiring and looking to onboard more developers, Unity developers, full stack engineers. So that's definitely a core focus for us moving forward as well.
Okay. No, awesome. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Maybe one other question I'm just kind of curious about is what's the philosophy around blockchains at this stage? Are you sticking with one? Are you going to be looking towards bridges and cross chains? Like what's the best case going forward, I guess?
Great question. Yeah. I think so for us, again, just bringing it back to the community that we have, we are ultimately going to listen to what's best for our users. And so right now, we definitely believe Ethereum to be like and we see Ethereum as the most popular for high-end art collectors moving forward. We see the same for these metaverse worlds, but we also allow creators to mint on Polygon. So they have another option that is more more economical for them, a little better for the environment as well. And a lot of our users are also asking for other chains and other support for Algorand, Solana as well. So because we get those user requests, we are going to be looking to branch to other chains and just to offer users those options as well. And something like Algorand is a lot better for the environment, which is also really important to us. So yeah, we're not tied to just one, and we want to make sure that we, at the end of the day, just like service our community members the best way we can.
Perfect. No, that makes sense. Layer 2s are definitely going to be helpful, especially on Ethereum. All right, last one, because you brought up Magic Leap, and I've always, like I said, I've been following them for a long time, and I've always been like somewhat mystified, and it seems like an amazing concept. When we talk about hardware, what are you most looking forward to for besides like obviously the Quest those headsets right now? Like Apple should be coming out with something in the next 12 to 18 months. Do you have any glimpse into what that might look like or feel like by chance?
Sure. Yeah. So definitely, I mean, for us, we see the future of this, really living not just on desktop, which we're accessible via desktop and desktop web browser, but also through mobile. We are looking to ship our VR support by the end of the year, and then looking past that, a few years ago when I was working at Magic Leap, I definitely saw the future and saw what is possible and what is going to be possible. And I really do believe more so in the AR side of things and giving users the ability to either turn on or turn off that immersive nature of VR, where you can kind of seamlessly switch between being fully immersed, but then also enabling those visual effects to inhabit your real world environment and really augment the real world. So yeah, I mean, definitely excited for what Apple has cooking. Can't wait for that headset to come out. But yeah, I think ultimately it is going to be something to look out for, and something that we are going to be ready for once the hardware is available and accessible.
Yeah, awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Last question.
Yeah.
Is MR used anymore? Do people use that?
Oh, like mixed reality?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, forget that.
It's so funny. When I was at Magic Leap, it was like really big for us to use the term spatial computing. I don't know if you heard that term used a lot, and I know they were really trying to push that forward. And I think because Microsoft was making such wide use of mixed reality, I hear augmented reality, I hear mixed reality, I hear XR, extended reality, spatial computing. They all kind of like merge together, I think, into like extended reality or mixed reality. Yeah.
All right. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. This is awesome.
Awesome. No, thank you so much, Joe. Really appreciate it. Great meeting you, and thank you for your time.